And watching the evolution of like our big mouths grow up with us and us growing up with them is like the most rewarding thing in the business that we do.
Thanks for joining us on Outside the Box, where we talk through actionable strategies that help you generate more repeat, referral, and sphere of influence business. Remember, referrals don't happen by accident. They happen on purpose. For those who don't know, my name is Chad Armbruster, CEO of BizBox. And with me, as always, is my co-host, full-time realtor, and son, Justin Armbruster.
Today, we have Tim Langhauser with the Compass Home Group joining us all the way from Bel Air, Maryland. Tim has been serving buyers and sellers in the Baltimore area since 2012, and he sells over 170 homes a year, resulting in over $65 million in sales volume. Tim, thanks for joining us today.
No, thanks for having me.
So tell us, how did you get into the real estate business?
Honestly, I got into real estate. I was in my senior year of college. Somebody I knew was opening up a real estate brokerage and asked me as an internship to come in and handle the accounting department and like oversee the logistics and the admin side of a real estate office. So I spent 7 years on the admin role and then kind of got a little frustrated and switched over. And now this is my 13th year on the sales side.
Really?
Okay.
So that was more or less your first real job, was the admin side.
Oh yeah,
for real
100%.
Were you the one? Were you the one writing the checks for the realtors at the time?
That's exactly what I was doing.
And I'm sure I can guess why you got into the sales side.
Yeah, and you start to see the frustration of like, we were a big education company, so we were teaching and watching some of the agents get all the knowledge and just lack implementation. So we decided, I met my now wife. We decided to both quit our jobs, start a team, and never look back.
Love it.
Well, I was going to ask what you got frustrated at, but I see what you're saying there. So was it difficult? I guess I've always heard that new agents have a difficult time, young new agents getting into the business. People may not trust them with their biggest asset and this and that. But I mean, did you experience that? You would have been relatively young, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, so mine was interesting though, because like I said, social media, as far as people saw, as far as my sphere saw me, I was in real estate for 7 years. They didn't know it was not sales side of it. Because I would still get the phone calls from friends and stuff like that, like, hey, I see you do this, can you help? And I would actually just pass them off to my broker because I didn't handle the sales side at that point.
Gotcha. That's actually super nice. I was in a similar situation, worked as kind of an unlicensed assistant for a couple of years, but people knew that's what you were doing. And so I was able to kind of still have a paycheck, but work my way into going on my own.
Yeah. And I mean,
That's
I think
great.
it's a great model. I think sometimes you have to, work to learn. And then sometimes you move into work to earn.
Yep.
And sometimes you just got to bite the bullet and suck it up and do the hard work and not know the paychecks aren't coming in yet.
Yeah. And I hear that for most agents, it takes a while before that first one came in. Was that the same way with you guys? Did you have kind of a ramp up period?
So we did. I mean, our first year in real estate, I think my wife and I mean, we weren't married at the time, but I think we did about 7 million. So for us, it was like, there was no looking back. We had 2 mortgages to pay. We both had kids. So it was like, look, if we're going to do this, we have to go all in everything we have into this business. But we were big on when we started, we mapped out like our entire business. I mean, we had dry erase boards set up that if a lead or a contact comes in, a client calls you, like, what are the next steps? What are the touch points in those steps? And then once they become our client, they buy, sell with us. How do we never let them go? And that was from day one. It was the philosophy that like, this is the type of business that we wanted to build.
Well, it sounds like you were on the ball from the beginning. A lot of people have to learn that as they go along, as far as, mapping out the sales process and this and that, what you just described.
Yeah, I think, like I said, it was the benefit of 7 years of being in this leadership position, teaching it, going into masterminds around it. I mean, we were traveling the country with our brokerage at the time and just learning and learning and learning and sucking in all this knowledge. And then it was to the point where, like, look, we know how to do all of this. Let's go build our own wealth through this avenue.
So you mentioned sphere of influence. What's the one habit or routine that's kind of helped you consistently stay in front of your sphere of influence?
I'd kind of put two of them. One is our client events. We do somewhere between 4 and 7 client events every year. And the other one is touching them at least 4 to 6 times a year through mailers, different types of like raffles or giveaways that we do. Like Super Bowl's coming up, so we're running a Super Bowl block challenge for just our clients. We send out birthday cards with scratch off tickets, just, you know, another touch point to them. But the most important one we probably do is we actually send boxed birthday brownies to their kids.
Really?
So they're specific to the kids. The kid gets it in the mail, comes from, like, you know, UPS delivers it. It's in the kid's name. So nothing makes the kid more excited than getting a box in mail.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
So
that's awesome.
you kind of, you build the connection through the kids, and then, you know, families, all their families become our just, you know, legs of our own family. It's
Here's
really
a question,
kind of fun.
as I've ran into some of this myself. How do you get that information? You know, kids' birthdays, even sometimes client birthdays is hard to find.
Sure. So honestly, when a new client gets kind of enrolled, we call all of our clients big mouths. So like we have the Compass Home Group Big Mouth Club. So when
Gotcha.
they join the Big Mouth Club, they become our client. They're referred to us. However they, you know, jump into our sphere. We actually have a VIP tracking form. So we look at, hey, where do they currently live? And it's all the basics, email, phone numbers, but it's when's their birthday, their anniversary, their kid's birthday. And then there's like 3 to 5 questions to kind of, what do they like to do? So that if something does come up and we want to celebrate them, we're not sending them a bottle of wine when they don't drink, or
Right.
sending them a gift card to a seafood restaurant when they're allergic to shellfish.
Yeah.
So we want to know, like, what do you love so that we can celebrate you in that way?
Cool. That's awesome.
That is awesome. So now when you describe the Big Mouth Club, is that something they know they're a part of, or is that something internally you call it?
Oh, no, they know they're a part of it. Like our Big Mouth, we have a specific logo for our Big Mouths. It is on the hood of the car that our team drives around. So like they know it's the Big Mouth Club. When we do some of our events throughout the year, we actually have Big Mouth t-shirts. So we might have 200-300 people at a baseball game and they all have the same t-shirt on. So they know what they're called.
Okay. And so you kind of go into it saying that there's a little bit of an expectation that they're going to refer business, but you're making it fun. It's very subtle.
There's going to be big mouths about the real estate company.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So we want big mouths to have a big mouth about what we do.
That's good.
That's super funny.
So those are 2 awesome ideas that I've heard so far. Do you guys come up with these ideas on your own, or who's the creative force behind all your events?
So as far as like the idea of building this kind of club, we actually stole it from another agent. Not going to lie.
Okay.
We were at a seminar. He was kind of coaching us. He's local to us. He's, you know, now a good friend of ours. He was doing these client events, and I'm like, hey, let's take what he's doing and just step it up another level. And now it's fun because we get to watch other local real estate agents who kind of build these networks the same way. And it's important. I mean, you know, we're not meant to go through this life alone. So by us building this Big Mouth group, when we have our client events, you know, now some of our clients have become friends in themselves. So we get to watch all these relationships blossom. And it's just a byproduct of what we're trying to do.
That's good.
That's super cool.
So what are some of the common mistakes you see realtors make when they're trying to grow their real estate business?
Be transactional. I think that's number one. So chasing a paycheck, you know, worrying about one transaction over the actual relationship with somebody. There are plenty of people in our Big Mouth group that come to our events that we love on who've never bought or sold a house with us. And not mostly because they just haven't bought or sold a house in 13 years. And there's nothing, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just they're still in our club because they are absolutely just like us. Everything about them is like us. They connect us with other referrals. They connect us with other, members of their family who are doing things, but it's just, we'll love on everybody the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. I always use the line that, your best client isn't the one who buys and sells the most houses with you.
Now,
There's referrals, there's, connections, there's all sorts of things that, kind of decide who should be in your big mouth club.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, there are people that we get through a transaction with, and it's decided in-house, that like, hey, we're probably going to part ways after this.
Yep.
They're few and far between, because usually we can weed them out up front. I mean, there's people we say no to for business. Day one, could we do that? Not really. But now with what we have built, there are days that we can meet somebody and say, like, we're not a fit to work together.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
So back to the Big Mouth Club, and you said there's people who are in our Big Mouth Club who've never bought and sold from us. Mm-hmm. So I guess what you're saying is that, like, this is a formal, do they get like emails that talk about being in the Big Mouth Club, or are they like your events? Is it hey, this is a Big Mouth event? How is it a club? And then these other people are in it. Are they in, you see what I'm asking, I guess?
Yeah. So, we have a social media, literally we have a group on Facebook that is called Compass Home Group Big Mouth Club. That's private, that they get an invite to. It's how we kind of deliver a bunch of information to them. We do a monthly newsletter as well. So we'll send the newsletter out to them and just let them know, like, hey, here's what's going on this month, updates on our next events. Like, for instance, I think our next event that's up is, it's called the Sweetheart Soiree. So it's literally like an adult prom that we do at a local vineyard that all benefits a local charity. It's called Pathfinders for Autism. So for us, we got into a few years ago to really tying a bunch of our client appreciation events into charity fundraisers.
Really?
Some are not that way. Some are just like, hey, show up, have a great time. This one in particular started that way. And charity saw the success we were having getting our people there and said, how do we make this bigger and turn it into a fundraiser?
That is so interesting, and I'm going to ask you about this. I was on your guys' Instagram page before this, prepping for the interview, and I saw you guys just recently did a indoor golf simulator charity event. Talk to me a little bit about that. What all goes into that? How does that work? How is it a fundraiser? How is it also a client event for you guys?
Sure. So that one was a double win. So like 2 years ago, we started that. A client of ours is the owner of the indoor golf facility. So he was just opening his doors. He's like, Tim, I know you have a lot of these events. You have a lot of clients in the area. How do we get involved? So we were doing a toy drive at the same time. And I was like, hey, let me see if I can put together this indoor golf event. We'll get 12 teams out here, have them come in, golf, have this thing, have sponsorships. We'll bring in some money. Fully, like, we don't know where it's going to go. We had no idea about it. I think the first year we ended up raising like $4,000 or $5,000. We also pulled in toys for 100 to 200 kids. But the first invite to that goes out to our client database. And basically the first one, we sold out within like an hour and a half of it going live. So we actually added a second night to it.
Oh, that's really crazy.
So now, like, we really don't even have to publicize it until it's sold out. This was our second year doing it. Once I reached out to the people who played before, they all want to be a part of it. And, our electricians come, plumbers come, our, mortgage vendors show up, and then a bunch of our clients are the ones who bring the teams and play.
Oh, that's awesome. So
and it's great. We fill truckloads and truckloads of toys this year.
Oh, that is such a great idea. Full disclosure, I was contemplating what it could look like, because I'm a big golf guy. What could it look like to do a client event, in the winter when things are a little bit slower, at an indoor place that we have. And, I was running numbers and I just couldn't justify, okay, I'm going to rent it out for this. I'm only going to be able to have this many people come because, you're limited. It's like, I can't do it. But, doubling it as, a fundraiser where it's like, hey, we can support a great cause and, it's going to achieve a very similar result as, a sponsor tournament. I just get to shake hands, see people, I, get to facilitate it. Maybe you as the agent, carry on the bulk of the sponsorship of it, but you pick up others. That is a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, our contribution, we made a financial contribution to it, obviously, but and then our job when we're there is, there's 36 people playing golf. Some of the wives come, like my wife will come. She doesn't golf, but she just they have a bar. So she sits around the bar and mingles with the other wives who come. And we just walk around and talk and have a good time with people. We crack on them for bad shots. And, it's a great fun event, and 3 to 4 hours sitting in the warmth in winter.
Love it. That is so cool.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, because I was watching your newsletter and I saw you gone through like 6 different things that you guys were doing. It seemed like it was November, December type of events. So when I hear you say, "Oh, I do 4 to 6 events a year," I'm thinking you seem like you were doing 6 events right there just in November, December.
So yeah, those and we don't necessarily count like the fundraisers as our events. In December we had 2 golf nights. We did Cookies with Santa, where we rent out a huge like local mansion that is an event space. We bring Santa Claus in, and we had about 300 to 400 people come through and eat cookies, ice cream, sundaes, hot chocolate, and have their picture with Santa Claus. The one in December that we did for the first time this year is we actually called Amtrak trains and said, "Can we rent an entire train car and take some of our people up to New York City for the day?" And they were like, "Yeah, well, we can do that." So we put that together, and we got our people to New York, and we didn't lose one. So it was definitely a win. That was our biggest fear, was leaving somebody in New York City.
That's funny.
But now, like, we already are on the phone with them this year because we're planning December 2025 and trying to set up Amtrak, because I know this year we could fill 2 to 3 cars. I mean, we sold out 72 seats on an Amtrak train within like 90 minutes.
Oh, that's cool.
Now, is that the thing that you're funding? You pay to rent out the whole car?
So for the train,
yeah.
our plan with the train was we covered half of their ticket cost. And it had nothing to do with them paying. It had to do with making sure who paid showed up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So we didn't want to fill a train with 72 seats and like 40 people the day before were like, we're not going to go tomorrow.
Right.
So the money was just having skin in the game.
Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. Okay, so now I have to ask, you have all these ideas. Who, between you or your wife, or maybe someone on your team, who's the idea person? Because I'm sure, you do 4 to 6 client events a year. I'm sure there's 10 or 12 that are running through your head.
Yeah. It's honestly, it's a collaboration. So we have about a dozen people who work here. We have 3 full-time staff and agents. We'll have a marketing meeting once a month. And in that marketing meeting, like, we're looking out 3, 6, 9, 12 months. Mm-hmm. Hey, what's coming down the pipeline? And some of the stuff is like, we look at, again, what other people do. We're research and development. We are rip off and duplicate. Other people, we had seen like lenders and title companies doing bus trips to New York City. And I was like, well, I hate being on a bus. Our train station's 15 minutes from where our office is. I'm like, let's just give Amtrak a call. Can we rent a train car? And it went from this idea of doing a bus trip to what are our other options? And, the bus doing 60 miles an hour up there is much different than the train doing 160.
Yeah.
So you get there faster, you have more time. And on the train, you're up, we're walking around, we're interacting with our people. We had games for them to do on the train car. We had a scavenger hunt for them to do in New York City that they could win a prize for. So just once the idea comes, then it's like, all right, how do we take this little idea and just magnify the hell out of it? And really make it just this fun time that we can have with our people.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's good. So
and we're a delicate blend. So our logo is have fun, share love, and build community. I am the have fun part. My wife is the share love part. Like, we are both build community, but when we put it all together, it's just like this wonderful, crazy machine that keeps rolling.
Yeah, that's good. So you have all these events and different things you do. I guess what would be your, I don't know, favorite or the most unique that you do that helps generate referrals? And what's the one that works the best?
My favorite are the ones with all of our big mouth kids. Because
Before we dive into that, the Outside the Box podcast is all about building repeat and referral business, because smart realtors know that serving clients is the secret sauce.
At BizBox, we think your marketing should serve your clients too. BizBox branded moving boxes are the ultimate blend of service and promotion. Printed on 2 sides, loaded with essential supplies, and delivered straight to your clients, BizBoxes are lasting branding that keeps you top of mind long after the move.
BizBox fits every budget with packages starting at just 5 boxes and a free design setup. Visit bizboxinc.com, click free setup, and create memorable marketing in just minutes.
Stand out with BizBox while your competitors get tossed aside. Now, back to the show.
my favorite are the ones with all of our big mouth kids. Because, so like I said, we just did Cookies with Santa. After the event, post-event follow-up is huge for us. So we actually, the little mixed tile, like photo frames, everybody who came to Cookies with Santa, we upload their photos, get mixed tiles delivered to us, and then we hand deliver them to all of our clients' houses. Well, one of the coolest things is watching, like when your clients have been with you for 6, 10, 12 years, is watching their little mixed tiles evolve. Husband and wife with 1 child, husband and wife with 2 kids and 3 kids and teenagers. And watching the evolution of like our big mouths grow up with us and us growing up with them is like the most rewarding thing in the business that we do.
That does sound, and I don't even know, a brief explanation, sorry for being a dummy here. What's a mixed tile photo frame?
Yeah, so it's here, I can show you one. It's literally on my desk because we're delivering them today.
Oh,
So shout out to this little family. It's this little photo frame.
okay.
Yeah.
So we deliver the same thing to them every single year, but it's just this evolution of their family growing up.
Okay, and then this particular one is at the Santa thing, and so they get to kind of see that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so we do we have a Valentine's Day event. We have Easter egg hunt coming up. So we rent out a big space for an Easter egg hunt, have out 2,000 to 3,000 Easter eggs, and kids just go wild.
Yeah.
And the fun part of the Easter egg hunt is we actually have our parents do an adult Easter egg hunt where they're blindfolded, and the kids have to kind of navigate them through to find their eggs, which are like this big. And they're filled with, adult appropriate prizes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is good. So I keep seeing a theme here. It seems like a lot of these events are kid oriented. Is that a strategy or is that that's just your sphere of influence?
It probably has to do with somewhat of like my level of maturity. If I'm honest, it's just I love what little kids love. Like I love watching them scatter like wild, crazy humans doing an Easter egg hunt. It's like, it's days and weeks of prep work for 2 minutes of enjoyment because that's how quick it's done. So yeah, our strategy was just, originally we sat down and when we started Compass Home Group, we targeted who's our ideal client, and our ideal client was us. 2 parents, we had 3 kids between the 2 of us. They were little at the time. We're trying to mirror match. Like this is our ideal client. It's somebody who's bringing kids up locally, just like we are. And it's our ideal client really hasn't changed. Our kids have grown up, our youngest is 20 at this point. But our ideal target client is still that same, somebody bringing up kids local in our area.
Love it.
Just as a kind of a strategy, I would think those would be great ones because they're constantly going to be growing and adding to their family or whatever and changing houses. But.
Yeah, they buy their first house and then they have a couple kids and they buy their next house. And usually, from the business side of it, they typically are 2 transactions in a decade. Mm-hmm. Where somebody who, of my age is going and buying their 10, 20, 25-year house outside of any crazy life changes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in this market, people are only moving because of, death, divorce, diamonds, dependents, the D's of a real estate market.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you had to start over today, what would be your top priority for building a strong network of repeat and referral business?
Honestly, getting your database in place as quick as possible and segmenting it as best as you can. When we pull our database in, we're big on like tagging our database. So if this person's a Ravens fan and this person's a Chiefs fan, we want to know that. If we see on social media that like, hey, they're going to the Baltimore Oriole game and they're huge Oriole fans, great. We want to tag that in our database. So we just start. Big corporations collect data on us every day when we're on the internet. We just want to do it on a smaller scale with the people around us so that we know everything about them. That VIP survey we talked about, ask them, who's their favorite sports team? Do they even watch sports? So if we have extra tickets to an Oriole game, great. We know who to pick up the phone and call and invite for somebody if we haven't seen them in a while. So building a strong database, because in my opinion, the easiest, most fun and rewarding business model you can build in real estate is through the people you know in your sphere. I know there's people who will pay these big companies for huge amounts of leads and they will be a lead generation, that type of machine. Does it work? 100%. I just think it's way more fun doing it this way.
Way more fun and easier.
Yeah.
When you work with people who already know, like, and trust you, not only is it easier and more fun, but I also think, when I work with someone who knows me well or is a past client, I also, as an agent, I get less confrontation or rebuttal on, what I charge, on a commission when I go on a listing appointment versus someone who doesn't know. And like, that's the first thing they're going to ask and that's all they're interested in.
No, and I think, one of the most fun phone calls I think we can get is, hey, do you have time to work with us? Like, I've loved the first time that phone call hit my phone. I was like, did they really? Like, 100% I have time to work with you. Like,
yeah.
I don't care if you're buying a $50,000 house or a $2 million house. Like, you're the same human to me. You are just that. You're a client. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Like, we treat you the same.
Let me ask you a question about that. As I'm kind of, growing in my career, I've gotten that question a couple times. And it makes me question how I'm doing some of my marketing and that it's like, I don't need to be talking about every closing I have on Facebook because it might give the impression I'm too busy for some people. Have you ran into that at all? Or what do you think about that?
No, I don't think we've run into it. Some of the things that we as a team have kind of shifted away from just over the years are like, the annual celebration post that, we see all the agents do. And we did it. Like, we did it, hey, we did $70 million this year. We had balloons in the parking lot, confetti. And, the public's perception is interesting. We're right on Main Street of our town. So it's where our office building is. So we have a sign display out front. So like when some of our agents have a great month and they get like, do $1 million in production in a month, we celebrate them out there. You'd be amazed how many like texts and phone calls that people will get and say like, you made $1 million this month. And I'm like, I wish like I made $1 million this month. That would be fantastic. But that's perception. So we just wanted to kind of shift the perceptions to be focused on like, what is the client's success story and what we help them achieve?
Absolutely.
Did we have to go in and say, hey, we need to help you renovate this bathroom to get to a successful, more, to increase the ROI that we're going to get on selling your house. Like, let's focus on those stories and less on our own stories.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to, people don't care that your house just sold. You just listed something, but they will read a story and they can relate to a story and, that's fantastic.
That's my wife's gift. Her gift is she is the storyteller.
Awesome.
That's good. It's nice you guys have a complementary relationship, things that have different strengths. That's got to help.
It's definitely a benefit that most people probably don't have, is we are polar opposites as far as personalities. But as far as like drive and like our vision and what we want to do are exactly on the same train track.
That story you said about the client calling up and asking if you had time, that kind of reminds me of you were telling me about that person?
Yeah, I recently ran into, I had a client that was closing a house with them. They were buying their first home, and they told me afterwards, they said, yeah, I was going to call, so-and-so realtor. I know them, decently well, but they're just so busy. She's, super busy, yada, yada. And when she told me that, and of course she name dropped her, I was like, ugh, I know so-and-so. I was like, I sold twice as many houses as she did. But it's like, sometimes it's how you position yourself with your marketing. It's, you want people to know you're busy because, you want to know you're in the market, you're active, and you can handle anything. You don't need to give the impression that you're swamped, and, running around with my head cut off.
What I think there's, we can be busy and producing and not in a state of chaos. And I think that some people on social media make it feel like their whole world is a state of chaos. Well, then that's the perception you're creating for the people that you're speaking with. It's like, hey, I'm always just like this ball of, I'm so busy all the time. And it's like it's a badge of honor. And again, like I was 100% that guy, 5-7 years ago. Like I wanted to do this much business and this much, and then I have a business coach, and we actually like scaled back with our business coach, or at least I did. I'm like, look, I had a year, I sold 100 and I think 30 some or 40 some houses by myself. And I'm like, I never want to do that again. As far as like the workload and just the running and the chaos. And I was like, I know where my sweet spot is. And I was like, and this is where I want to hit every year, and anything else we can funnel down into our team.
Yeah.
That's good. So can you share your, most interesting referral success story and what you believe contributed to that success?
I think so it was fun. 2 years ago, we had our 10th anniversary party for Compass Home Group. Like 10 years being in business, we wanted to celebrate. So we invited, really it was mostly family, friends, vendors, loved ones. But we invited probably about 2 tables of clients specifically. One of which was like the client who bought and sold the most with us personally. The other one was this set of brothers who I met him at an open house. I think he was getting engaged at the time, one of them. But this family that I met at an open house we were rewarding them, kind of like celebrating them. We gave them a prize that was kind of, dedicated just to them and their lifestyle. And, but them getting into our Big Mouth Club and attracting our events, they were the top referring client we've ever had. They're firefighters. So they got us into like their firehouse and got us into their family, and the ping pong of like just the amount of referrals that they've given us. I could probably list a dozen names of people, and we had them all like on a list. Like, here are all the people you connected us with. And those connections led to these connections. So that was probably the funnest one, the Hayes brothers.
Oh, that's cool. So, okay. So you showed them the tree of, your relationships, your direct ones here led to these ones here. Oh, I bet that'd be super rewarding for some clients, because, as a business owner, we track those things. That's our livelihood on who's referring, who's bought and sold. And so I even think through some of my past clients, I track, how I got all my business. I'm like, I bet some of those, after 4 or 5 years of time or whenever, they would love to hear that.
Yeah. And I mean, internally, like some of the things that we don't necessarily do externally but internally, every quarter in our newsletter, anybody who refers us someone, whether they use us, they don't use us, they choose to go with someone else, we drop their name in a hat and, we do a quarterly referral giveaway. And we send them this, it's like a 1-page flyer. It's like, hey, here are 4 different things, a gift card to Home Depot, a Solo stove, a Yeti cooler. What do you want? Like, thanks for connecting us. You won this quarter. What do you want? And we're going to order and deliver it to your house.
Love it.
We just want to celebrate it.
Absolutely.
This year, at the end of the year, it's kind of the same thing. Anyone who referred us and connected us with at least 2 people who bought or sold, we custom delivered them like these, 18-inch marble and wood charcuterie boards with like their name engraved through it.
Oh, I love it.
So the Big Mouth Club, is that something that
you're really into this Big Mouth Club? I am
interested in this. I think it's an amazing idea. But so is it the type of thing that, okay, you're just internally putting them into it, or do you say, hey, would you like to be a part of the Big Mouth Club? And is there like this is the benefits of being in the Big Mouth Club? You get invited to all of our events, or you get entered into these drawings. I mean,
here's what you can do. If you refer Tim a client, you could figure this out firsthand.
Exactly. There we go.
If you know anyone looking to buy in like the Baltimore area,
yeah, that's going to be tough.
But no, so I mean, we talk about it all the time. When we first meet our client and, it's a buyer consult or a listing appointment, it's in our presentation. There's pages dedicated to for two reasons. We explain what it is. And the second reason is we tell them it's not derogatory for us to call our people big mouths. Mm-hmm. Just so they understand, when we're on social media, we're tagging someone like, hey, thanks for your big mouth. This isn't a bad thing, just so you know that. Mm. But no, we talk about it all the time. And I mean, as soon as they're referring us business, they're connecting with us, they've used us to buy, sell, they're under agreement, they're invited into this club. And, it's extremely rare that somebody gets kicked out. It does happen. If we sold someone a house 4 years ago and they listed their house with someone else, it's ultimately hey, kudos to you. I hope that agent you use is doing the same thing.
Yeah. Hopefully they have their own Big Mouth Club.
Yeah.
But they're not going to go on your train to New York City.
No, they're not. They're not going to come and ride my train.
That's funny.
That's good.
Cool. So, Tim, as we wrap up our time, we like to end with just some rapid fire questions. Just first thing that kind of comes to your head, we'll just shoot it to you. You ready?
Okay.
Zillow, Realtor.com, or Homes.com. What do you recommend clients use?
For the client to use? Neither.
Love it. We've gotten that, yeah.
But I know that they all lean towards Zillow.
Yeah.
I just know what they do.
Yeah.
Actually, they mostly lean towards Zillow and Redfin.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A lot of Redfin.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a trick question. The right answer is neither. But
yes.
Are you an office guy or a home office guy?
Office guy.
Office guy. Instagram or Facebook?
Facebook, timeline, Instagram, Reels.
Love it. It checks out. Podcast or book?
Book.
Who is your most influential coach, mentor, or influencer that you listen to for real estate?
Probably, honestly, Tom Ferry.
Tom Ferry? Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you like about Tom Ferry?
I think he speaks to every agent at every level. Whether you want to come into real estate and you want to help supplement your household income and do 6, 10, 12 houses a year, and know that that's your goal. This is all I want to do, and that's fine. Or if you want to go and you want to dominate and build a business that is in 4 different states doing 1,000 transactions, he speaks to that. And I think that's a big thing is everyone's internal goal doesn't need to be somebody else's goal.
Yeah. What's the most impactful book you've read?
The most impactful from real estate side of it, it's got to either be The One Thing or The Millionaire Real Estate Agent.
All right. I haven't read Millionaire Real Estate Agent, but I hear nothing but raving things about it. That needs to be added to my list.
It's kind of how, we modeled our business off that book. Okay.
What's the most underrated app that you have in your phone, either business or personal?
I'm going to pull my phone up and see what I use the most. I'm the most my newest favorite one's ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Because I'm well educated, but my English is or my grammar is atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really just hey, I know what I want to say. Help me just make it sound a little smarter.
You sound like me. Instead of sending it to my wife to read, whether it's something I'm putting together, a marketing piece or whatever, or a long email, it's hey, throw it in ChatGPT, fix the grammar, make this sound a little bit more polished, but take out those big words. I don't use those.
Yeah, that's it. I don't want it to write anything for me. I just want it to rewrite what I'm already, putting out there.
Love it. Finally, if a listener wanted to refer a client to you, what local areas do you serve, and what would be the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, sure. So, we are basically the greater Baltimore area. Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Harford County, everything that's kind of Baltimore City Northeast to up until like Southern Pennsylvania. And we're actually getting our license in Delaware now as well, because we spend some of our time on the Eastern Shore. So we sell houses down on the Eastern Shore as well.
Love it. Awesome. Tim, hey, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been awesome. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Tim.
No problem. Thanks for having me.